Ah,
We
we
are
are
live.
live.
We are live. And let's just have us two. Oh, there we go.
Very good.
We did a
Hello,
little bit.
everyone. I hope whoever's watching has had lovely holidays, whichever holiday you celebrate. Um, and we're back, unusually on a Tuesday, but
Yes,
that's just to make sure we could do it this week instead
yes.
of waiting longer. How are
We
you,
didn't.
Sue?
I'm very good, Matthias. How are you?
Doing
I'm,
great.
I've had a lovely, lovely Christmas, but I'm quite glad to be getting back to normal.
Yeah,
So,
same.
yes,
Same.
yes. We couldn't be the same me without any running. So I'm in week 3 of my Boston Marathon training plan. And I got 45 miles done last week, and I'm up aiming for 50 this week. And then I
And
have
how many weeks are left? When is Boston?
April the 20th. So
Okay. All
15
right.
weeks.
Okay. That's
It's,
my birthday, actually.
oh, is it?
So um,
Oh,
don't know why I needed to share that, but there we go. All right. So what's bugging you in the world of source control and Git?
so you were going to show me all about branching.
Yeah.
So how to branch.
Because if I remember correctly, last time we were live, you made some changes
Yes.
to your PPIP
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
You committed the changes to your main branch, and then you were trying to actually push it to GitHub, which failed with
Yes.
some authentication issue.
Yeah.
We couldn't quite resolve that at the time, but we also said it's actually not a good practice ever
Yeah. To do
to
that.
commit directly into main and trying to push straight to main. We can have long philosophical discussions about why that is, but if people take away that you should never do that and stick to it, I think it would be a really useful thing.
I think so too.
And so, what we want to do today is to create a new branch for your changes and do that locally first, and then introduce GitHub and basically pushing that branch into the cloud. It
Yes.
looks like oh yeah, there we go. Your screen share took a little while to
Yes.
be visible, but I can see. And maybe I need to do a full screen here.
I think it's because I've forgotten how to do it.
Right. Okay. Cool. I've got full screen now. My old
Brilliant.
eyes no longer work in the little uh, tiny format. Um, all
It's
right.
trying to get your brain back to normal, isn't it? Away from the mince pies and the festive joy. So we have this, and I've made changes to it,
Yeah.
and then we
And what does
returned.
that look like in VS Code? I think
That,
I would suggest that we start there. That's also where your commits should be visible. We're going to have to do a bit of repair
yeah,
to pretend that you never committed to main.
yeah.
That's slightly advanced, but I think it will be useful for everyone.
Well, I think so, because it's the type of thing. I think that's what I find particularly useful is when you start working through tutorials, they take you from A to B without any deviation.
Yeah,
Whereas quite often you find you click on something and it doesn't quite work because
yeah,
so it may be advanced, but I think the great thing is we can pause it, we can stop it, people can
yeah.
rewind it, they can, which is what I've been doing with them. I've been rewinding and coming back. So I've opened up Visual Studio Code.
Okay, so if you want to go to the source control tab, I'm just going to throw those terms at you now because we've established them over the past few weeks. So they should be more familiar. So that's a really good view. So first of all, at the top, it changes. You can see uncommitted changes. So that's everything that you've changed, presumably in Power BI Desktop, but you haven't committed it to your Git history yet. And if you wanted to, you could click on every single one of those files to then have a diff view showing up with red and green color coding. And we've talked through this, right? And so that's no longer new. If you want more space, you can also close the panel at the bottom with the terminal. Yeah, there we go. Closing that doesn't delete anything. It's just hiding the window. If you want to, you can always get it back, but we don't need it right now. So, cool. Okay. So, but what I want to focus on is the graph view. So source control at the bottom. So here you can see your linear view. Well, so when it comes to Git source control, everything is always sort of a sequence of commits, right? Which is why you generally have a linear visualization. And you can see two badges. There's an orange badge that says origin/main, and then there's a blue badge that says main, right? On the right-hand side in the top right corner of the graph view. Yeah.
Ah, right, okay.
Origin, and that's key. That's really important to understand. So let me talk you through that a little bit.
Yes.
So what we're looking at is the graph, the change view for your main branch. The main branch is the current branch that's checked out in your file system. Right. You can see that in the status bar, very bottom on the left, it says main. So that shows you what your current branch is. Okay. Yeah. And the blue badge shows what on your machine in this particular folder has been committed to the main branch. So that's all local. You can also see that on top of the most recent commit, which is labeled, this is from working on documentation, et cetera, et cetera. On top of that, you can also see a virtual node, which represents your uncommitted changes, right?
That one.
There we go. And then...
Oh, my goodness, look at them all.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And then what's really key to understand is that because that repository lives in GitHub, basically has a separate copy in the cloud, we have the GitHub version of main, which is represented with that purple badge. And that shows you that as far as GitHub is concerned, main goes up all the way to this particular commit, merge pull request number 5.
Yeah.
So you now have a difference between what is main on GitHub and what is main on your particular machine, on your local folder. And it's those two commits, correct? Which also shows you that if there were more people working on the same project, you can very, very easily get into trouble when multiple people make changes on the same branch locally and think that their version is the truth, when what's on main for somebody else could be something totally different, right? So that's this is actually where merge conflicts come in, and that's something which we want to avoid. So. Okay. Long story.
No,
best practice.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry. Best practice is whenever you start making any kind of change, whether you do that on your local machine, on your local machine, or using web editing or any other tool.
Yeah.
Best practice is to always create a new branch first. You can name the name of a branch is completely arbitrary. You can name it whatever. You need to agree with your team members. What is your naming pattern? So that there's some sort of order there.
What's a typical? Because I would just say Sue. So are there typical naming patterns? Best practice naming patterns.
So main as a convention is very established, and that's the branch you basically never want to make changes to directly, right?
Right. Okay.
Basically, what we've done here is we generally want to avoid. Main is not up for grabs in terms of making changes.
Right.
That is basically what represents sort of the solid truth of the project, if you will.
Right.
If you use some kind of issue tracker, so for instance, Azure boards or GitHub issues,
Yeah.
to track what changes you're making, then the issue tracker gives you a number for each particular to do or for each particular bug. So if you use an issue tracker, best practice is to name your branches in accordance with the issue number, right? So let's say hypothetically you were working on issue number 1 on this particular project. You could create a new branch and call that issue -1 or issue /1, right?
Yeah.
If you don't use an issue tracker and you do work with other colleagues, it's a good practice to put your initials into the branch name to know
Yeah.
that this particular branch is owned by Sue and no one else has got any business with that branch, right? So
Yeah.
if you, let's create a new branch, and you'll be surprised how easy that is.
It just makes perfect sense, Matthias, to say, if your work, because when you're discussing things in Git or something in issues, then to name the branch relevant to the issue gives you an audit trail as well to
Exactly.
understand what you're changing and why.
So the pattern I normally propose and establish when I go into enterprises is strictly working with issue trackers. Put all your requirements into the issue tracker, ideally from the business owner, so that the issue tracker pretty much becomes your documentation. That's where the original request goes in, and that's also where all the communication around QA goes in, and it stays there forever, right? You can always refer back to it. And then in terms of source code, on the source control side, you have an implicit link to it just by virtue of the branch name, right? You see immediately, this is issue number 123, and then you know where to go if you want any context for it. All right.
I'll ask you about issue trackers next, but yes.
So let's create a branch, and that is surprisingly easy. We looked into the status line where it says main. If you could go back with your mouse, the horizontal status bar at the bottom of the VS Code window, just click on main, just click on it, and then you can see up there in the middle, you've got create new branch. So just click on it, create new branch.
That one?
Yep. And put a name in. So since we talked about naming, why don't you call it Sue-1. And once you hit enter, that branch is created. And if you look in your status bar, you can see that your current branch has now switched. And you can also see your graph view shows Sue-1. So there we go. That's super easy. And it's really key for everyone to become comfortable and familiar with sort of creating branches. Ideally before you make changes, not after.
But that whole branch thing has been so confusing to me. But that simple explanation of how you have issue trackers, and if you name your branches with your issue, I understand the why then. And I know people say, to amalgamate different people working on different things, but that really, for me, gave a huge amount of clarity.
Awesome. Very cool. And now, since we already have 2 commits on that branch, we can publish that branch. And Again, if you go back to the status bar where you clicked in order to
Oh,
create a new branch,
okay.
right next to the branch name, you see the publish button. See that? So that
Yeah.
has an arrow that goes up into the cloud. If you click on it, you're going to be prompted. There we go, to publish this one to Origin, which is
Oh, look, it's come up
your GitHub repository. So just click on Origin with your mouse, and then. We have the same problem as before. Something is a bit weird here because yet again it's saying you
Say
don't
no.
have permission. So we definitely do not want to create a fork.
Why don't we want to create a fork?
Why don't we want to create a fork?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, right. So fork is something very specific to open source development. You create a fork only when you want to make a contribution to somebody else's open source repository. So forks only basically apply to open source, to repositories that are public. Like, for instance, you created a fork of the PBI tool sales sample in order to create this particular repository, right?
Right.
And
I didn't know that.
if you want to make a contribution to somebody else's public repository, you generally wouldn't do that directly within that repository. If anything, because you wouldn't have permission to make changes to somebody else's project. Instead, GitHub has the concept of forks, which basically creates a whole copy of that repository under your own name, in this case, database.
Yeah.
And that copy is then linked to the original one with some metadata, so it knows that that's not a standalone repository. It knows that it came from somebody else's.
Yeah.
So that's the whole fork thing, which means it's not something that generally applies in an enterprise context. Enterprise developers generally don't contribute to open source. They work on private projects. So the whole fork concept is completely irrelevant there. Now, I'm a little stunned with this particular problem here, which is effectively the same one we've had previously. So if you want to, let's do no for now. And let's just, let's check how you're logged into GitHub. So left-hand side, vertical bar, there's an account menu at the bottom with a person symbol, that one. So that one shows how you're authenticated with GitHub, which is the database account, which obviously is the owner of the database organization, right?
Yeah.
So you should definitely be authenticated with the right permissions. Let's try one thing. Let's remove the upstream remote. So apologies, this is fairly advanced, and it's just something we need to do as a fix here, because this repository was created in an unusual way as a fork. If you could go to the top, to the heading that says changes, and then move your mouse to the no, so the source control panel, where you've got repositories, changes, and graph.
Changes,
So, and then changes, if you could go to the three dots on the right, if you could go to remote, please. And then remove remote. There we go. And then click upstream, the one that is PBI tools / sales sample. So the bottom one, if you could click on upstream.
That one?
There we go. Yeah. let's remove that, which means we're left with just one remote now, the origin, the one in your own org.
Yeah.
Let's try the publish again.
Okay.
So again, push the publish button next to the branch name, and I'm going to hold my fingers crossed. You
No.
still don't have permission. Oh dear.
What's the settings bar showing? New code update. That's not interesting. 6 require restart. 20 pending changes. Leave that.
Okay. Would you mind going into your browser and going to GitHub?
Thought you might ask that.
Very good. And if you could go to that repository, I think it's sales sample, sales sample Sue.
Yeah.
There we go. Let's just have a look at. Oh, you're not signed in. Do you mind signing in? There we go. Okay. Right. So let's see which permissions you've got here. Go to settings, which is in the horizontal nav bar at the top. Yeah. Go to.
It's Christian. Hi, Christian.
Go to collaborators. So the first.
That one?
Yeah, one down. Yeah. Right. Okay, public and visible to anyone, direct access. You haven't invited. And you are right. And just to be sure, could you click on the account button, which is the one on top right? Yeah, so you are definitely logged in with that same account, right? Yes, you are.
Yeah.
So you own that repository. Okay, let's have a look at rules, please.
Rules.
Branches, tags, rules. Top down, yeah. And then have a look
Rule
at
set.
there shouldn't be any. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Millhouse. I can't remember your Christian name, Millhouse. He says he's listening to PBI tips at the same time.
Oh.
I wonder what I've done. But this is the
Yeah.
type of thing
Okay.
that someone that's sort of
Yeah.
dangerous enough to be.
Right. So we can't really afford to do an extravagant debugging session here. But in order to proceed fast, let's do one thing, if you don't mind. If you could go to your org, so if you could click on database,
Yeah.
and create a new repository, and just called it either just sales samples or sales samples 2 or something like that. Just a new unique name.
Does it have to have spaces?
It cannot have spaces.
Right. Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And it's fine to have it public because obviously we want people to see that. Cool. So yeah, if you just confirm, everything else is okay. No other changes needed. And then on that one, the section that's highlighted in blue has a URL with a handy copy button on the right. If you could just copy that. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Right. If you could go back into VS Code, and then we're basically gonna link what you've got on your local machine to this new repository, and we're gonna start from scratch.
Okay.
Cool. So let's go back to remotes, which was under the 3-dot menu on the right of the changes header. So one down from there. Yeah, changes all the way to the right. That one.
That way? Yeah.
Let's go to remote.
Yeah.
Let's do add remote.
Yeah.
Paste the URL, enter, and then you need to give it a name. I always call my GitHub remotes GitHub. So I would recommend you do the same thing. Just type GitHub and
Okay.
enter. There we go. Cool. So one thing, and then let's also remove the other remote. So if you could go back to remote, and now remove, and then we want to remove origin, the one at the top. There we go. Right.
This is
And
really
now-
helpful.
So
Really
now we've basically, from your local copy, we've now removed the reference to your original GitHub repository, and we
Yeah.
created a new reference to a brand new repository, which has nothing in it at this point. However, we already have branches and commits on the local machine. So
Right.
if you now click on publish, it should publish to the new empty repository, and
This
it will
one?
publish only this particular branch. Yes. If that also fails, you don't.
Oh,
Okay, there's definitely an account problem here. This cannot be.
right.
Could you log out? Right. So in VS Code,
Yeah.
this is a problem with your GitHub permissions in VS Code. So if you could go to the VS Code account menu, so bottom left, go there and click on sign out, please. There we go, sign out. And then we're going to re-authenticate. Okay, cool. So, and now back to the same account menu. Sign, sign,
This is when you're going to ask me for my password again.
oh, right. Actually, no, we can trigger that just by going through the publish process again, because it will then ask you to sign in. So just do publish again. No, oh my gosh, this is a tough one. Why is this not behaving?
This is what it's like being me, Matthias.
Yeah, I'm very sorry.
Things are never straightforward. That's why I have to learn things really well, because it's never straightforward.
Okay, right. So
why have I got two thingies there?
let me look what I've got here. Okay, so let's do
Sign in with GitHub. Oh, we've got Jake here, and Donald's here, and Christian's here, and Mike.
Okay, one second. GitHub.
So I reckon what it is I don't know how I've done it, but maybe.
Okay, so let's do. One second.
I wonder if I must have the right saying GitHub one. I'm going to check what I'm logged in as. What's my profile?
Okay. Right, so if you could go into the command bar using F1.
Which bit am I clicked on? VS Code?
So yeah, in VS Code, just click F1, and then there we go. And then type manage accounts with a space in between. There we go, second one. Yeah, cool. There are no active accounts. Okay, so that's fine. And then let's do It's a bit. I mean, you're clearly not logged into any account right now. Certainly not into GitHub. It's weird that when you try to publish, it tells you don't have permissions instead of asking you to log in, right? So that's what's bothering me a bit, and
Would it
it's
be useful
unexpected.
to close it down and then start again?
I don't think so. But if you could sign into VS Code using your GitHub account, it should then actually. So in the same account menu, top one, sign into sync settings. Right. So there we go. So this is now using GitHub to log into VS Code, which should then implicitly. Oh, all right. Which should implicitly have your GitHub credentials then stored.
Why does it not have that? That might be why. Hang on, let me pull it over here.
Also, I can't see the chat right now because I'm on full screen here. I'm not sure. People may have added some useful stuff. Let me put the chat.
They just said that
No?
that people, Jake's just said some people have the ability to break computers in weird and wonderful ways.
Okay.
Right. So I've done that.
Feels more like computers have the ability to break us. Okay, right, cool. So, and could you, let me just double check what my one says. Trusted extensions. Yeah, all right. Okay, so, I mean, Git doesn't even show up as an extension here just because it's baked in. It's probably going to be the same now, but just for fun, try to publish. Yeah, let's retry until it works.
No.
Right, you don't have permissions to put. Would you like to put?
But I've sign in with GitHub, Git Supercharged.
Okay. That's something different. That is a different extension, which we could also. Okay.
Well, Mike's saying he learns more from watching people.
Let's try something different.
Okay.
If you could open a Windows terminal, please. Windows terminal.
So you want the command line?
Yeah, correct. But it's yeah, okay. There we go. Cool. Let's just see whether Git is actually installed correctly. Can you do Git space -- version? Okay, 243. Not the latest version, but good enough. I think 252 is the current version, but that shouldn't be a problem.
Jake says your sales sample repo is empty.
On GitHub, yeah, that's expected. Could you navigate to anywhere in your file system where you don't mind a new folder being created?
Okay.
So a temp folder or even your user folder there.
I don't mind having.
We could just do it here and then.
Just do it here and then I can delete
okay,
it.
right. I think you still have the URL in your clipboard, but just to be safe, because we don't want to expose anything else, if you could just go back to your browser and copy the repo URL once more.
Okay.
So your browser should have the GitHub landing page for that repository.
Yeah. So it's that one.
Sales sample. Yeah. So there we go. Just copy, please. Right. So on that on a command prompt, type git space clone space and then paste. Right. And so
Press enter.
press enter, and this should definitely. Oh, right. So there we go. I thought it would trigger an authentication flow, but it appears that you are authenticated. If you do a dir command, so just to list folders, you should now see. Oops. You should now see sales sample. So there we go. So that has created sales sample as a new directory, which is basically a local clone of that empty repository. Okay, so that works, and it also looks like your Git agent is already authenticated with your GitHub credentials, right? Otherwise, that wouldn't have. No,
Well-
actually, no, because it's public. You don't need credentials for that. So maybe that's the issue. Right? That's a public repository. So in order to clone it, you don't actually need to be authenticated. That would work for anybody. So that wasn't quite a good test. So let me just have a quick look. How are we doing time-wise? We're way over time.
Gone
right?
over. We've just gone over. But we can always come back to this.
We probably will have to. So basically, where we're at, we appear to be in a situation where Sue's Git client isn't correctly authenticated for GitHub,
Yeah.
right? But Git is installed and works, and we need
We've
to
worked out
figure
how to
out
do a
how
branch.
to explicitly authenticate either the Git CLI or the Git extension that's built into VS Code with GitHub. I was under the impression, I would have expected that by virtue of you being logged into VS Code with your GitHub credential, that's already taken care of, but apparently not. So that's where I'm a bit stunned right now. It's probably very boring for viewers to look at us sort of trying all sorts of things moving around this, right? So why don't we resolve this offline?
Yeah.
So
we'll
that
say,
we
how we-
next time we go live, we definitely have something new to show in terms of progressing from here, right? Because what we want to do right now is being able to push that new personal branch into the repository, and then to actually start a merge process within GitHub, so that those personal suit changes can go into the shared main branch on that repository, right? But at
I
this
think
point, we need to sort out some authentication problems.
But I think it's always useful because sometimes if other people are going through something like this, they know that it's, it makes you feel more normal if
Oh, yes. Yeah.
that's quite why I quite like Python in Fabric, because it's all authenticated and set up for you. You're not having to do anything in the background to make it work. It's all self-enclosed. But I've learned a lot anyway. I understand more about the purpose of branching, and even by you telling me what to click on and what to move, I'm becoming more familiar with the infrastructure. So,
Fantastic.
so
Yeah.
for me, it's still been incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I mean, arguably VS Code is not super user-friendly in terms of UX, right? It is extremely powerful, has so many features, but unless you know how to find them, it's very difficult, right?
But
And
this
lots
is
of
it.
things are hidden in really, really
Yeah,
tiny icons and buttons that
yeah.
if you don't know about them, you think it's just some noise on your screen, right?
Well, that's it. And it's, just even going down here and understanding publishing here, this is where, the branch that I'm in, these are, these little 3 dots here for the changes to add and remove repositories. So although I haven't done the branching yet and there's a credentials issue, I have found it incredibly valuable. So thank you.
Awesome. Fantastic. And hopefully other people found it equally
Yeah, I think so.
valuable. Okay. So
So we will,
let's resolve this offline, and
yes,
then can we already announce our next installment?
yes,
Should be
yes.
tomorrow in 2 weeks, I guess, right?
Yes, tomorrow in 2 weeks, definitely.
Very good, fantastic. Regular time. Looking
Okay.
forward to having everyone join us online.
Yes, and have a lovely new year, and see you then. Love the far
Absolutely.
left button on the Jake's the far left button on the bottom, dev containers. Oh, you've lost me now, Jake. You'll have to join us on Teams.
Don't confuse her, Jake.
Don't confuse me. I'm just detoxing from mince pies.
Very good.
Happy
Fantastic.
New Year,
Happy New Year, everyone, and see
we
you
will
soon.
see you in the new year. Take care all. Bye.
Bye.